The wind had dropped to an almost imperceptible shiver when Shanice Williams flipped Jack's Diner's open sign at 12:03 a.m. The night sky above Minneapolis was a swirl of snowflakes reflecting neon turquoise and gold from the diner sign. Inside, the air was a comforting blur of wild rice soup, cinnamon apple pie, and the steady hiss of coffee brewing. Shanice, 32 and already tethered to exhaustion, wove through the vinyl booths and chrome-edged tables with the precise grace of someone who had spent nearly a decade perfecting every motion. Her apron, once crisp white, now bore the stains of countless shifts: coffee grounds at the hem, pancake batter at the chest, grease smudges that refused to wash out. Every dollar she earned, every overtime hour, went straight into the envelope marked Destiny Camp, a sacred promise that her 9-year-old daughter's dream of real basketball courts and real coaches would become reality. That evening had begun at 6 o'clock with the first rush at Bloom Coffee, where Shanice poured lattes and answered questions about oat milk ratios while Destiny, still in pajamas, bounced her mini Spalding ball in the corner. By noon, she was at Ms. Linda's daycare helping Destiny with spelling words and packing her peanut-free lunch before racing to Jack's Diner for the dinner crowd. Now, near the end of a 10-hour closing shift, her bones ached and her mind teetered on autopilot. She wiped the last syrup drip from a Formica table and glanced at the clock. 11:48 p.m. Meaton's rule was etched into her memory: no orders after 11:30. But mercy is its own kind of rule, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is bend a rule in someone's favor. The bell above the door chimed once, a small punctuation in the late-night hush. When Shanice looked up, she nearly dropped her rag. A lone figure stood framed by the falling snow, shoulders broad under a forest green beanie embroidered with a silver 1, a simple black puffer hugging long arms, a duffel bag slung over one shoulder. Even crouched to clear the doorway, he towered at least 6'10". Her heart pounded as she swallowed down starstruck panic and stepped forward with a professional smile. "Evening," she said, voice steady. "Kitchen's closed, but I can still get you coffee, pie, or our wild rice soup if you've got a minute." He looked up, and for a moment the diner held its breath. Warm brown eyes met hers, honest and unguarded. He pushed back the brim of his cap and offered a small smile. "Coffee, black, please," he said, voice calm and unpretentious. "And the soup, please." She dipped into her apron pocket for a clean mug and filled it with strong dark roast, threads of steam curling like thin ribbons. She stepped to the kitchen window. "Jerry, one wild rice soup and black coffee, please." The cook's spatula clattered against the grill's edge as he nodded, shoving the spatula into a pot. Seconds later, Shanice carried the steaming bowl and coffee back to the man who could have been dining courtside at an NBA All-Star game. She set them down softly. "Here you go," she said. Even her voice sounded tentative, as though reverence had softened her tone. He inhaled deeply, eyes closing for a moment as he lifted the spoon. "Perfect," he murmured, spoon poised. Shanice stepped back to clear a distant table, the diner's overhead lights suddenly too bright. She thought of Destiny practicing free throws in the school gym, the squeak of worn sneakers on hardwood. 2 more shifts, she reminded herself. 2 more shifts, and that envelope would hold $600 instead of $100. When the soup was gone, she returned with a slice of cinnamon apple pie, its crust golden and sugar crisp, apples tender with spice. He looked up mid-forkful. "Thank you," he said simply, reading her name tag. "Shanice." She managed a nod and cleared another booth, stacking menus like silent prayers. When he finished the pie, he set down the fork and reached into his leather jacket. Shanice braced for a credit card, but instead he placed 5 crisp $100 bills. Atop the postage check, $500. Her breath caught in her throat. "For your daughter's camp," he said quietly. "Keep the change." Emotion choked her. Tears fricked the back of her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, voice trembling. He tipped his beanie and slipped out into the snowfall, the diner bell chiming a gentle goodbye. Shanice didn't lock the doors until 12:45 a.m., heart racing. Outside, flakes drifted in lazy eddies. She tucked the envelope, now bulging with genuine hope, into her coat pocket and drove home beneath street lamps that turned wet asphalt into rivers of reflected light. Their apartment was a single bedroom above a laundromat on Ninth Avenue. Inside, Destiny lay curled on the couch, clutching her basketball like it was a treasure map. Shanice peeled off her boots, warmed her hands by the space heater, and counted the bills again. Exactly $500. She pressed them into an envelope marked Destiny Camp and placed it on the coffee table next to her daughter's worn sneakers and homework books. "We're going," she whispered, leaning into sleep as silence reclaimed the small living room. Destiny bounded into the kitchen at 6:12 a.m., eyes bright even before the sunlight filtered through frost-laced windows. "Mama, Coach Rivera said my elbow form is perfect," she crowed, dribbling her ball against the tile. Shanice hugged her fiercely. "Yes, baby, pancakes first, then practice." But her phone buzzed with a text from Metin. "Office, now." Dread clutched her chest like ice. She planted a kiss on Destiny's head. "Be good, sweetheart," she said, voice steady. Then she drove back to Jack's diner, guilt and fear twisting in her gut. Meaton sat behind a desk cluttered with invoices and late notices, the computer screen flickering with security footage. Shanice pouring coffee at 11:49 p.m. He watched her watch herself. "Rules are rules," he said quietly. "I'm sorry, Shanice, but I have to let you go." The announcement landed like a blow. 2 weeks' pay. Bring your apron and name tag. Shanice blinked back tears, packed her apron into a battered duffel, and walked outside. Destiny waited in the Honda, clutching her ball. Her face was a mask of concern. "Mama?" Shanice swallowed. "I got fired." Destiny's eyes widened. Then she squared her small shoulders. "We'll be okay. We always find a way." That afternoon, the apartment felt too still. The Destiny Camp envelope lay on the table like a lifeline. Shanice stared at it until her phone buzzed. Caller ID, unknown. "Miss Williams?" said a calm voice. "I'm Cynthia Larson, Anthony Edwards' assistant. He asked me to thank you personally for your kindness last night and to invite you to meet him at the AE1 Youth Foundation office in the Target Center. Today at 2 p.m. Will you come?" Shanice's breath caught. I don't work there anymore," she stammered. "He insisted," Cynthia replied gently. She looked at Destiny, eyes brimming. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll be there." At 1:55 p.m., Shanice stood in the Target Center's marble lobby, Timberwolves banners drifting overhead. A receptionist handed her a visitor badge. The elevator whisked her to the 19th floor. The hallway walls were a gallery of AE1 camp photos. Kids in branded beanies shooting hoops in snowbanks, laughter frozen in midair, igloos rising beside portable backboards. She knocked on a frosted glass door labeled Anthony Edwards, founder and CEO, and entered. Anthony rose from behind a sleek desk. No beanie, just a tailored charcoal sweater and dark jeans. He offered a warm handshake. "Ms. Williams," he said, voice calm and sincere. "Thank you for coming." She nodded, heart pounding. He gestured to 2 chairs. She sat, hands clasped. He folded his hands on the desktop. "Last night you served me like any other person in need. You didn't know who I was, you just saw someone who needed help. That's why I started AE1 Youth Foundation, to give every child in our community the same kindness and support I've been fortunate to have." He slid a silver embossed folder across the glass. "Community Outreach Coordinator, Minneapolis Region." Shanice opened it with trembling fingers. Inside lay an offer, an annual salary nearly double her combined earnings, full health, dental, and optical benefits from day one, a retirement plan, and most precious of all, it came full scholarship for Destiny to attend both the summer basketball camp and AE1's inaugural Snowslam Winter Festival, plus priority enrollment in year-round training programs. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I don't have nonprofit experience," she whispered. Anthony shook his head. "What you have, empathy, integrity, a real connection to this community, matters more than any resume. Think it over this weekend. Orientation starts Monday." His smile was gentle, encouraging. That evening, Shanice and Destiny sat on their couch, the folder open between them. Outside, holiday lights twinkled against the growing dusk. Destiny traced AE1 with her fingertip. Mama, is this real? Shanice pulled her close. It is, but it means hard work, helping kids like you. Destiny beamed. Then let's do it together, she said firmly. They held each other, ready for the path ahead. Two hearts bound by kindness, by snow, and by the promise of courts where dreams take flight. The next morning dawned brittle and bright, the city wrapped in frost under a pale winter sun. Shanice woke before her alarm, adrenaline still pulsing from yesterday's whirlwind. She dressed carefully in business casual attire, tailored slacks, a soft cashmere sweater, and polished ankle boots, slipping her daughter's scholarship letter into her pocket next to her apartment keys. She paused a moment, looking at Destiny's sleeping form on the couch, basketball still cradled in her arms. Gently, Shanice pressed a kiss to her daughter's forehead. "We'll make this count," she whispered, then pulled the front door closed behind her. At exactly 8:55 a.m., the revolving doors of the Target Center welcomed her with a rush of heated air and the muted echo of the lower-level practice court. A receptionist guided her back toward the elevators, handing her another visitor badge. AE1 Youth Foundation. Staff. The elevator rose in near silence, punctuated only by the soft ding of each ascending floor. When the doors opened on the 19th floor, sunlight poured into a spacious lobby lined with framed photographs. Smiling campers in branded beanies shooting hoops and snow slam circuits. Grinning faces etched in every frame like promises kept. An assistant in a crisp navy blazer led Shanice down a hallway. She passed conference rooms named for local mentors. Lindsay Whalen Leadership Suite. Kevin Durant Reading Room. Each door sealed with frosted glass and the AE1 logo. Finally, they stopped before a door labeled simply, Program Development. "Here you are," the assistant said, offering a warm smile. "Anthony's first meeting runs until 9 o'clock. Feel free to get settled." Inside, a broad table was surrounded by chairs, the surface strewn with project folders, laptops, and half-drunk mugs of coffee. At the head of the table, a whiteboard bore large blocks of color-coded text. Spring weekend clinics, school partnerships, volunteer recruitment, and a timeline for the upcoming Snowslam Winter Festival. Shanice slipped into a seat between a grant writer named Maria, who was reviewing donation agreements, and Jerome, the volunteer coordinator scheduling high school mentors for after-school sessions. They greeted her with friendly nods. At exactly 9:01 a.m., Anthony Edwards burst through the door, cap in hand and energy evident in his stride. He paused when he saw Shanice offering a broad smile. "Morning, team," he said, voice ringing with enthusiasm. "Let's get started." He moved to the whiteboard and tapped a section marked Pop-Up Clinics, March 10th to 11. "Shanice," he said, glancing her way, "I know you've got a background in grassroots community work. Why don't you walk us through your vision for these clinics?" Shanice took a deep breath. "Thank you, Anthony. My idea is to partner with 5 Title I schools in North Minneapolis and Phillips neighborhoods. We'll set up portable hoops in their gymnasiums and on cleared parking lots. Each clinic will run 2 hours. The first hour focuses on fundamentals, dribbling, passing, footwork, with small group coaching. The second hour is open scrimmage, letting kids apply what they learn. We'll have equipment giveaways, new basketballs, gloves, thermal socks, and staff a hot chocolate station back by the entrance to keep everyone warm." Anthony nodded, eyebrows raised. "That's solid? Transportation?" "I've arranged for district bus routes to shuttle kids from their schools directly," Shanice replied, clicking the supporting slides on the shared screen. "And I'm finalizing agreements with several churches for parking and ADA access. I've also lined up the Timberwolves alumni network to provide coaches." He grinned. "Perfect. Let's lock that in." He turned to Jerome. "Jerome, confirm volunteer numbers. I want 50 coaches per day." Jerome tapped his tablet and smiled. "On it. I've got 25 confirmed so far. I'll recruit more from North High and Edison." The meeting flowed on. Grant writers presented new funding applications. Marketing strategists unveiled digital campaigns using TikTok and Instagram, and community liaisons reported on school board support. Through it all, Shanice felt the familiar rush of purpose. This was work worth doing, affecting lives in tangible ways. By noon, she ducked into the modest staff kitchen for a second cup of coffee. Maria was pouring herself a mug as well. "You're killing it," Maria said, eyes bright. "I'd have sat there tongue-tied." Shanice laughed. "My daughter's got more confidence than I ever did." Maria nodded. "She's lucky to have you." Back at her desk, Shanice drafted emails, responded to partner inquiries, and updated the project management board. Time blurred until her phone buzzed with a calendar alert. Lunch with Lindsay Whalen, 1:30 p.m. She nearly choked on her coffee. Within minutes, she found herself in a cozy conference room decorated with Lynx memorabilia. Lindsay Whalen entered, tall and radiant, offering a firm handshake and a megawatt smile. "Thanks for meeting me," Lindsay said, sitting across from Shanice. "I've heard terrific things. I wanted to chat about our shooting clinics, specifically how we integrate mental health workshops." Shanice nodded. "I think we should run a breakout session right after drills, maybe 15 minutes with a counselor from North Point Health, focusing on mindset, stress management, and teamwork." Lindsay's face lit up. "Exactly. I'll help facilitate. I've seen too many young athletes burn out." They sketched out a draft agenda: fundamentals, scrimmages, mental health breakouts, coupon and mentorship sign-up. By 2:15 p.m., Shanice had notes, Lindsay had connections, and the framework was set. That afternoon, Shanice visited 5 partner schools, walking through empty gymnasiums with principals and custodian staff. Each space told its own story: faded lines on the floor, chipped bleachers, missing net in the corner. But by the end of her visits, she could already envision new courts, fresh paint, roaring crowds of kids. She left each campus with promises of support. "We'll handle halftime snacks. Janitorial staff will clear snow for you. Parent-teacher association will help with signups." Evening fell before Shanice returned to the Target Center for a debrief. She collated feedback, updated timelines, and watched Jackson, the social media intern, schedule Instagram stories capturing AE1's growth. Behind-the-scenes shots of the new pop-up hoop being assembled. Candid laughs of kids at an equipment giveaway. Motivational quotes from Anthony overlaid on snowy courts. As she hit publish, her phone buzzed and it was a message from Anthony. "Excellent work today. See you Monday a.m." By 9 p.m., the staff had filtered out. Shanice walked the quiet hallway back to the elevator, pausing at the framed photo of that final dinner at Jack's Diner, her silhouette pouring coffee for a stranger under neon lights. The caption read, "Kindness knows no boundaries." She smiled softly and pressed the down button. Saturday arrived with clear skies and biting cold. At 8:00 a.m., portable hoops stood ready in a vacant lot next to North Commons apartments. 80 children, layered in parkas and wool hats, bounced balls and practiced layups under the supervision of volunteer coaches in AE1 gear. Shanice patrolled the perimeter, awarding raffle tickets for every successful dribble drill, personally patting each volunteer on the back, handing out beanies, gloves, and hot chocolate. She spotted a boy struggling to keep hold of his ball on icy asphalt. She knelt beside him, offering a pair of grippy winter gloves and showing him how to cushion a bounce. His grin lit up his face brighter than any overhead light. By noon, nearly 200 children had cycled through 3 clinics. School crossing guards waved approvingly as parents peeked in, cameras in hand. Local news crews set up on the curb, microphones branded with WCCO and KMSP logos. When Shanice noticed them filming, she waved a quick hello before diving back into coordinating a snowball break contest to keep the kids warm during lunch break. That evening, the Target Center lobby bustled with volunteers returning donated winter coats they'd collected at a pop-up drive. Shanice oversaw the sorting tables, matching sizes to name sheet compiled from sign-up forms. She logged each jacket along with the recipient's school and club. Each entry felt like a promise fulfilled. 2 weeks later, the Snow Slam Winter Festival unfolded at Theodore Wirth Park. Courts shimmered under strings of LED lights. Snowboarding rails and warming cabins lined the hillside. Destiny, beaming, took part in the Future Stars tournament for ages 8 to 10. WNBA legend Lindsay Whalen coached her shooting clinic, giving pointers that unfolded as clear as ball arcs on the court. Destiny made her first three-pointer under the festive glow, and the onlooking crowd cheered, clapping mitt-covered hands. Shanice stood at the back, breath visible in the cold air, tears of pride and purpose mingling on her cheeks. After the final game, Shanice met Lindsay by the lodge fireplace. "I wanted you to see it," Lindsay said softly, her eyes shining. "Your daughter's got more than talent. She's got heart. You've built something incredible here." Shanice swallowed, words caught in her throat. "None of this would exist without that first act of kindness," she whispered. Lindsay nodded, "and plenty more since." That night, after the crowd had dispersed and snowplows cleared the parking lots, Shanice sat alone by the leftover pop-up lights, cradling a lukewarm cup of cocoa. She thought back to Jack's diner, to the way Anthony Edwards had paid for her daughter's camp with no fanfare, no demand for credit. She typed a quick thank you text to Anthony. "Thank you for believing in us. Today was magical." He replied almost instantly, "You believed in my vision and in every child here. That's all that matters." A month later, the first Jack's Diner Youth Center ribbon cutting brought the community to its feet. The old booths had vanished, replaced by polished hardwood, study nooks, steam corners, and a small cafe serving wild rice soup and peppermint hot chocolate. Families filled the stands, children dribbled in custom-branded jerseys, and volunteers moved among them, ensuring everyone found their place. Shanice raised the microphone, heart pounding. "Tonight, we celebrate what happens when one simple act of kindness becomes a movement. When you choose compassion over convenience, you set loose a wave of hope that carries countless dreams to shore. Thank you, Anthony, for believing in the power of empathy. Thank you to every volunteer, partner, and family here for believing in our children's potential. Let's keep the lights bright, the courts open, and our hearts warm, no matter how cold the winter night." The cheers rose again as Anthony snapped the ribbon. Children flooded the court, laughter echoing off the walls, proof that a single generous gesture, made on a snowy night in a small diner, could build a future brighter than any cityscape. Months later, AE1 youth centers thrived in 5 Upper Midwest cities, with 2 more slated for Chicago and Milwaukee. Each center retained a piece of its diner heritage, the flicker of a neon sign above the entrance, reminding everyone of that first act of compassion. One sunny spring morning, 11-year-old Skylar met Shanice on a Duluth court, holding a scholarship letter to a robotics competition. "You helped my family when things were tough," he whispered, eyes shining. Shanice knelt and pressed a hand to his shoulder. "We help each other," she said. "That's what family does." Her phone buzzed with a press release. AE1 Youth Foundation to expand to 20 cities nationwide. She tucked it away and gazed at Lake Superior's shimmering expanse. A gentle wind stirred the surface as if echoing the promise she had kept. Sometimes, Shanice thought, the greatest dreams take flight not by chasing them alone, but by helping others chase theirs. One snowy night at a diner, one act of kindness at a time, one life at a time. Thank you for sharing this incredible journey with us. Shanice's courage, empathy, and determination to hold on to her dreams have inspired us all. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. By subscribing, you'll be notified when new videos are posted, and you'll become part of our community. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this story touched you. See you in the next video. Take care.